Hey Spuddies, Potato McWhiskey here, and welcome back to Age of Wonders 4, my current addiction that will ruin my YouTube channel. Or, potentially, this could work out, and all this time and all this energy I put into learning and playing this game could be a fruitful YouTube series. We do not know, because I have not yet released this video. This game isn't even released. I don't even know if it can be released. However, we do have the ability to pick a new research. I would say that most of these options are not important to me. The Lightbringer is okay. I guess it's a celestial unit, so it's kind of strong against spirit. It can convert enemy units with mind control. It has spirit bolts. It is a battle mage. Like, it's not a bad unit. The fact that it's a battle mage is kind of interesting. I could also take Wrath of the Faithful here, which would do up to 10 spirit damage plus another 5 spirit damage per each friendly faithful unit in the battle. So that could be, what, up to 8? So that's 10 plus 5 times 8, which is 10 times 4, so that could be up to 50 spirit damage from a single spell. That's actually extremely efficient if I have enough faithful units in the battle. Now, I think it's pretty obvious here. I would like to get the Tome of Scrying. Don't get me wrong, okay? Things like the guided projectiles here, which means that enemies do not benefit from Obscured for my battle mages and my support units, because Obscured is a 40% harder to hit penalty. Being able to ignore that would be a huge bonus. Summoning Watchers are quite powerful too. It has the Psychic Gaze ability, which does 36 damage, has a 60% chance of stunning them, marking them, lowering their evasion, making them easier to hit, and it also could demolish fortified locations. It can do that pretty regularly. So basically the Watcher, when it psychically gazes at somebody, it essentially says, this thing is going to die. Which is a really powerful ability for a battle mage to have. So I would love to do the Tome of Scrying, but then again, the Tome of Amplification fits so well just for raw damage. I mean, I would definitely take Summon Watcher. It's a tier 3 ethereal battle mage. But I think I'm going to take the Tome of Amplification, partially for the resonance field here. This will give me world map and combat casting points. And I think generally just this is a better tome for my faction. I'm going to go ahead and take the Astral Blood Minor Racial Transformation, which I can talk about once we actually unlock. We have built the tavern in Starspire, so we're starting to see the stability of the city climb back up to a more reasonable level. We could also build the bathhouse for another 40 city stability, which would bring us up to a healthy, stable position, but stable isn't so important. I think I would be happy to just be, sorry, not stable, it would bring us up to orderly, which would be nice. But I think I'm happy where I'm at. And the big thing that I want to do right now is to boost a pop so that I can get started on the Town Hall 3, the Mystic Spire, which requires you to have 10 population and will unlock the ability to make Spellbreakers. I've got a few spells to cast here. I'm going to go ahead and cast Mighty Meek. This will give all of my units. Now, this will increase the upkeep cost of my tier 1 units significantly, but it will also reduce the upkeep thanks to the Faithful bonus and make them quite a bit better. So I think Mighty Meek is a reasonable cast here. The other spell I'm going to take is the Scroll of Attunement, which will allow my non-mystic units to actually have attunement Starblades. Looks like I am no longer at war with Crystalios. They actually declared peace with me. Because Gloom Hooknail became their overlord. That makes quite a bit of sense. I think Gloom Hooknail is going to be a major rival of mine, considering he's up there building the Seed of Shadow. I also now have vassalage of the city of Obscurum, so I'm getting some of their money. That's helping me out with my income problem. These vassals are really good for income, I'm telling you. I'm going to take the Tributaries ability, which will give me plus 10 gold per vassal that I have, which will really help out with my cash flow problems. Now here's a question. Do I want to build a second city? Like, in theory, I could go ahead and unlock expanded governance and plonk down a city right now. I think if I was going to plonk down a city, it would be near this underground passage or underground. I'd like to get control of this cursed barrows, and this layer of silk. If I could get all of those in the same city, I'd be in a good spot. I'm going to take the road building skill. This is really good when you're moving around in neutral territory. And I'm also going to take the surge spell casting ability, which allows me to cast combat spells for cheaper. Next, I would like to get Quickening, which will allow me to cast spells on the first turn of combat. I do have a new quest. They want me to build 3 conduits. I think I can do that. I didn't actually deal with these corrupt souls, sadly. Noctis has built a Seed of Nature, so it's probably about time that we took him on as well. I'm waiting for one of these provinces adjacent to my capital to morph into a viable lumber mill. It's like the only thing I really need is another forester. So I now have a major justification of war with Noctis. I'm not quite ready to declare war on him, but that would give me a 20% bonus income to my Imperium. Unfortunately, Gloom Hooknail managed to vassalize this free city. I didn't even know that he was negotiating with it. I'm not sure how he did that. It's slightly annoying. I'll just have to live with it. We found Blint the Underdelver. He is a deep-dwelling dwarf. He's a competitive merchant. He likes trading. Hard bargains. Expansion exploitation. He doesn't like empires without relationships with free cities, and he doesn't like empires that break treaties. Well, I am not a treaty breaker, I am a friendly fellow, so I have no problem with that. He built the seat of Materium, so everyone is starting to kind of build up to their win condition. I suppose the Civilization 6 equivalent of this is like building the spaceport. I'm going to give Obscurum the Covenant of Faith, which will give them +5 Imperium income for the cost of a little bit of mana. They basically pay for that themselves. We just finished researching Astral Blood. I can now start to cast that. That'll be a fantastic addition to my race. So Asgeir Spine Splitter is offering me to become their vassal. I'm going to go ahead and decline that offer. Technically, she is stronger than me due to the fact that she's a brutal AI and she has a very strong army. But I think that I can take her on. Let's finally recruit our second Spellbreaker here to round out our main hero stack. Now we can build the Altar of the All-Seers. This will give us 20 knowledge and 20 mana per every 5 astral echoes that we found with our scouts, which are over here. We also get the All-Seeing Blessing, which gives us vision range and true sight to every unit built in the city. I don't think that's something I'm super enamored with. I don't need that. I'm far more concerned with building something like the Armory, which will allow me to build more units, and also the Arcane Institute, which will allow me to build more knowledge income. I'm going to go ahead and replace this province with a forester so that I can just pop a farm down in there, and then that should round out the 3 farms, 3 quarries and 3 forester minimum that I recommend for every city. Amplify Minds seems like a pretty good spell, as does Conjure Divine Beacon. This would allow me to summon a Divine Beacon, which is a tier 2 unit that has Divine Beacon's Grace, which heals all units within 2 hexes for 5 health and 5 morale every turn. Really good passive way to get an upper hand in a battle. So I think I'm going to lock in Amplify Minds, and then I'm going to research Divine Beacon. I'm going to unlock the Advanced Sensing ability. This will let me scout the Fog of War slightly. I can kind of see where potentially hostile stacks of armies are in the Fog of War. All right, looks like we can pull a few of their tier 3 Berserker units into a fairly straightforward fight. Now these Berserkers are very strong, okay? They have a heavy charge strike which ignores, I believe, it ignores charge resistance, so even my spearmen won't be able to stop them. But I believe we should be able to take these guys on. It's an isolated stack, detached from the rest of their army, and this army in here will not reinforce. Oh my god, they have 3 Scalds. That's very scaldy, let me tell you. This should be an easy auto-resolve for me, but if I lose any units, I will manually fight it. So losing 2 spearmen, is it worth it to manually resolve? I think so. These guys are all gathered together. I'm going to go ahead and drop a Fulmination on them on the first turn of combat. Hopefully I'll get a couple of Electrified to start getting that passive damage in, and it'll also get Star Blades. Now, we're up against a very thick front line. However, my army is built to fight. That's exactly what my army is built to fight, is a very thick front line army with my very thick back line. Let's drop another Fulmination on the enemy army. This will do a huge amount of damage. I probably should have dropped a electric spell. I always forget to do that. Let's go ahead and overchannel as well so we can Fulminate again. There it is. Boom, another Fulmination. Really efficient damage here. I'm going to go ahead and Weaver to refresh my summon animal. I'm going to just straight up charge with this animal. I don't care what I hit because he exists to eat damage for the rest of my army. And then I will summon another tier 3 animal unit. Let's move forward with the Spellbreaker to get rid of this Hound. These Hounds are quite tough to get rid of because they're relatively, they're basically free units, is the best way I can explain it. So even getting rid of them doesn't really do much. Right, I've got all these units in range of these Sunderers, so we should have a very good chance to kill them, even if we get a graze here. Okay, that Sunderer is down. I'm going to use defense mode on both of my shield units to make my front line very tanky. And then I'll just make sure I have a thick wall of range so that I can take out any of the advancing forces on the next turn. Everyone else will go into defense mode to provide, protection. That Berserker just smashed for insane damage. These Berserkers are terrifying, right? Because they only need to hit us once to do damage. That's the thing about Berserkers. I'll step forward with you and use the Gore-Tusk Matriarch to obliterate this Huntsman. Then you'll come around and finish him off. Can we drop a fat AoE here? We can. That's pretty good. I'll overchannel on my leader again. Like, he basically has just stopped participating in fights because he just overchannels all the time. I'll drop another Fulmination. It's a pretty efficient spell. It's 45 damage. I'm going to bless this guy so that he can potentially one-shot this. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, nice. Then you should be able to get this kill, even though you'll get hit back. That's fine. He fumbled his attack. So these guys have the steadfast ability. They can't lose more than 1 HP. Why do they have steadfast? When the unit's total hit points reaches 33% or lower, it gains Berserk and Steadfast. So they can still do 20 damage, so they won't die. I'm fine with that. I mean, obviously I don't love it, but I am fine with it. Let's go ahead and blast the hell out of this guy. Very unlikely that we hit most of these spells, but we only need to hit a few of them to bring him down to where he's basically useless. And then I think I can auto-resolve the rest of the battle. Yeah, this should be an easy auto-resolve. Everyone should get killed quite easily. And there we go. That is a wrap. We took basically no casualties to kill an entire stack of enemies. My hero leveled up to 10, which is actually a significant advantage heading into this battle, because we will be able to get her second ultimate ability. Mass Rejuvenation is really good for sieges. Visions of Woe is also quite powerful. Mass Rejuvenation is great if your army's hurt. Dark Ritual can be quite good for zombies. In big battles it can do work. I'm going to take the defensive training ability for my hero. That'll give +1 defense and +1 resistance to the entire army stack, which is basically a 10% health increase. So I'll confirm that. I really don't want to take Mass Rejuvenation here, but it is a really big AoE heal, so I think I'll grab it. It'll also give me an extra nature affinity, which will open up some options for me in the late game. I'll go ahead and put this city under siege. It'll take 6 turns to siege as it currently stands. We will have to add some siege projects. Now we're up against the ballista towers as well as the archer battlements and the caltrops. I think at the very least we should bombard their towers so they have less towers in battle. So I'll do that. And then I should look into maybe constructing onagers so that we have our own siege support. That'll take a turn off until we can breach them. Unfortunately, I don't have siege specialization yet, so I can't get my third siege project. Might be able to make that happen later. There is a tile that's just outside her territory that I can take my very, very wounded units to and give them a chance to heal up, albeit extremely slowly, 5 health per turn. It's still healing, that's the thing. So I decided to trespass on this guy's city down here so I could learn more about what's going on. That did reduce my justification level for war, but if I settled that grievance and pay for my transgression, I think that means I get away with it, basically. We finished researching Conjure Divine Beacon. Let's go ahead and select a new research. I will take Amplify Minds. Army Heal could be quite handy here, but I'm a bit low on mana, so I'll take Amplify Minds. We have finished casting Astral Blood, so now all of my units will have access to... Oh, you can choose whether or not to apply it to your hero. That's kind of interesting. To your leader. So I'll have Attunement Fortune, which will be every time I cast a spell, my units get a 10% critical chance increase. That is a very significant amount of damage. My armies are going to become incredibly powerful in auto-resolve now. Critical hit chance is really, really powerful. If critical hit works the way that it did in previous Age of Wonders game, I believe how critical hit chance works is that when you attack, a second dice is rolled. Normally when you attack, a d10 is rolled, okay? If you have a 90% chance of hitting, you roll the d10, on a 1 you miss. I can lose 54 Imperium and gain 300 production. Yes, that is an obvious decision in a build that requires an insane amount of production. We also found another free city who I will be giving a Whispering Stone. But anyway, the point is, I forgot what I was talking about. I'm going to be honest with you. I lost my train of thought. God damn it. I'll cast Faithful Whispers. This will allow me to increase my relationship with Coalhaven faster. And the way I can do that is if I go look at Coalhaven, right? I mean, we see here. It's going to take me 4 turns to get here. I'm gaining... What's this? 4 allegiance per turn. Now, if I cast Faithful Whispers on them, that'll be a 30% increase. And now I'm getting 5 allegiance per turn for a very small amount of mana upkeep. I think that's worth it considering my main method of expansion is by vassalizing these free cities. A not insignificant amount of my money is coming from my vassals, in particular also mana. 59 mana from vassals. Capital City is coming along very nicely. I would like to build a shrine. My mana income is a little bit low compared to my gold income, so I need to bring that up to a more reasonable level. Brilliant, we managed to finish researching Amplify Minds, which is going to give us +20 knowledge income and -10 city stability when we cast it on a city. We've got 1 more research until this research cycle is finished. I will go ahead and I may as well grab Summon Lightbringer. I guess it's a unit that can be used in a pinch. And this city can probably start building its fisheries so that we can start to build our naval stuff. I will get started on building a shipyard. I would like to build a naval stack which will involve building ramming ships, which are usually the ship you get after you build a shipyard. Okay, let's go ahead and cast Amplify Mines. We're going to cast this on our capital city. This will have an upkeep cost of 6, but it will get us 20 research per turn, which is pretty decent. Here we go. Here's the counter attack. She's got 3 highly leveled heroes, a whole bunch of tier 3 units, a whole bunch of tier 2 units, and a couple tier 1. So this is the counterattack that she's been building up to. Now, if I auto-resolve this, I should win, I think. Yeah, I'll win. However, I want to win more decisively, because this is not the final battle. So we will be retrying this battle, and we will be fighting it very carefully. Now, the scariest thing in the hands of the AI is a hero. And the reason is incredibly simple. Because through random chance, the AI can just somehow end up with like incredibly good equipment, like a ricochet crossbow that does damage to one target and bounces to another. Or like astral hearts that make melee attackers become stunned. Yeah, so heroes in the hands of AIs, very scary. This is actually her ruler. She just has Juggernaut Greaves. Otherwise, she has fairly generic, like, disruption abilities. Okay, every single one of her heroes has an astral heart and a cloud in a bottle. So I don't know how she managed that, but god damn it, she has multiple heroes. Now, technically, I should have multiple heroes by this phase of the game, but because of the builds that I chose to play, we will not be able to sustain many heroes. I can probably sustain a second hero now, and I'll probably look into recruiting one. So the first things first is we will recruit our little wild animal to get the battle started. So there's a little bit of setup we need to do here. A combination of like things like soothing breezes and preparing our battle line. So our goal is to have melee units in the front, protecting a huge array of battle mages and, you know, range units and support units in the back. I'm also going to go ahead and cast myself a divine beacon, because if I place it in the right location, like right there, it'll provide morale and healing in an AoE. And it's relatively, you know, they have to waste a couple of actions to kill it, and that extra morale adds up. So let's go ahead and fortify my army. My army isn't quite in position yet. It will be soon. They're moving up in preparation for a fight. And here goes the triggered heal again. That's fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and scooch this nightmare one tile to the right and face it forward. I will overchannel to gain an advantage. I will move my soother one tile to the left and cast another divine beacon here to cover the right side of my army, thus providing healing and morale over here. Then I want to, it would be great to mass rejuve, but I don't care about that ability actually. I would much prefer to Weaver, so that I can do the summon animal thing and get a second tier 3 animal. Now this is a unicorn, and unicorns are melee, so they hold the line. And thus I have created the extremely compact, extremely powerful battle line. Now I could probably cast another Conjure Divine Beacon, just to really cover my front line. But I think instead what I'm going to do is to do some Wrath of the Faithful on units that are particularly vulnerable to spirit damage. Here we go, we've got a spirit weakness right here. So boom, these knights are a little bit vulnerable to spirit damage because they are technically undead. All of my units go into defense mode with overlapping shields. They're starting to buff each other up. That's fine, they can do that. He blinked into the back and then just disrupted my front line. And then, yeah, this is kind of what I was expecting from their heroes, is to disrupt my front line. That's okay, we can reform it. Yeah, a huge amount of disruption going on. Immobilized, so on and so forth. We take a little bit of a sundered defense. I don't mind them getting the initiative on the fight, because I don't think I need the initiative to win. Now, got a whole bunch of stuff going on here, and these towers are triggering, healing, and moraling. Let's have a little think about what we can do. This hero over here needs to die. Now, unfortunately, she has wind barrier. Where the hell is she getting wind barrier? The wind barrier ring, of course. So I have a 39% chance of freezing her with Ice Coffin, or I can do a Wrath of the Faithful for 33 damage. Maybe this guy will be easier to kill. He also has the wind barrier ring. God damn it, do all of our heroes have the wind barrier ring? They all have the wind barrier ring. Jesus Christ. Okay, so this is like a pretty hard counter to my build. I'm going to have to use my melee units to deal with this now. At the very least, I'm going to charge strike this guy with my, my unicorns. I think we can get this kill. We're flanking and we're sundering his resistance, but we got stunned, which is a 30% chance. Okay, nice. We got stunned again. Let's get that done. Okay, the first hero down, at the very least. All right, let's get in. We've got a 30% chance of you getting stunned when you attack. Okay, that is triggered every single time we've attacked them. That feels a little bit OP. That time he resisted it. That time he resisted it. Okay, good, good, good. Over channel. I'm going to cast Wrath of the Faithful to get that kill. Boom. So that's the second hero dead. In particular, that is the enemy ruler dead, and now their morale is low. So now that their morale is low, they have a 20% chance to fumble their attacks, which is a not insignificant debuff to their ability to do damage. Now, I haven't reformed my front line, unfortunately. Why is this guy so hard to hit? He's obscured by an obstacle. If we move 2 tiles to the right, we lose 1 attack, but we can blast him, so we will. Similarly, move you 2 tiles to the right and then blast him. This knight will go down. I can cosmically ablate him to take him out of the battle, giving me fortune across my entire front line. I'm going to pull you back to the beacon, face you towards the enemy, and then use Soothing Breeze to bring you up to a reasonable amount of health. You go ahead and Mending Touch that guy to bring him up. 30% chance of damage. Nice. Critical hit. That's the thing about crits. It's always nice to crit. Alright, I got this guy who can do like an AoE slap to these boys, which should remove any buffs they have. And Primal Strike was removed. That's good. Alright, my leader, I could drop a fat AoE heal, which seems good to get all that regen going. I'll bring you up here, blast this kid. Oh, that's big damage. That's the kind of damage we like to see. This River Troll needs to go down too, so I'm happy to start blasting him. I don't know if I'm actually going to hit this guy. Wow, we actually rolled crit. See, this is what I'm talking about, right? You have a 30% chance to hit, but then you rolled that second crit dice. So it's like rolling with advantage in D&D. It ends up being a significantly more important increase in your DPS than you would normally think. Nice one. That's huge. Now, you did end up stunned, but you did do major damage to him. So what units do we have left to control? I've got this guy here. He is immobilized, so I'll just do a defense mode. Now, this is where I could potentially lose units if they focus fire all their damage onto 1 or 2 units. But with our regeneration and our... oh, that was big. That was a lot of damage from him. Yeah, we could lose a unit here. Now, he is fumbling, and he's in bad shape, so there's always a chance that we live, right? Oh, yeah, the miss is huge. Oh, he's missing all of his attacks. The elusive halflings are kicking in, baby. All right, we see a little bit of health get restored over here. I think I'm going to drop another one of those beacons right here to provide big AoE healing. So I want to talk about critical hit chance right now. So this Arcane Guard here has a 20% chance to crit, plus an additional 50% chance to crit. So he's got a 70% chance that he will just straight up crit every single attack. That is B-A-N-A-N-A-S. Bananas. We've got a 70% chance to crit this guy, which means we have a really good chance of actually just straight up killing him. Yeah, just completely obliterated. What do you got for me? What do you got crit-wise? Looks like 70% chance to crit again. What if we flank with the horse, big hit, then we charge with the spearman, big chance of murking. Oh, not quite. But then I guess I'll support blast. There we go. That's what we were looking for. So a lot of my opponents are now very low morale, which means they're close to breaking. When a unit breaks, they will flee the field. I will Mending Touch you, and then I will Soothing Breeze. Ooh. This is a kill, I think. This is like almost guaranteed kill with the advantage roll. Oh, we rolled a couple misses. Fuck. Okay, now we can get a kill. There we go. That's what we like to see. The enemy is fleeing the field. We can claim victory and win the battle immediately. So some of their units have a chance of surviving the flee. Actually, most of their units survive the flee. However, this is a significantly better outcome for me. Yes, more of enemy units survived. However, a larger percentage of my army also survived. That was a big battle for me. Now, they're going to come at me again. Let's have a look at the auto-resolve. If I lose 2 units, I'll keep it, but losing 3 is a lot. So we're going to fight this manually again. This is the siege of her city. These are really important critical battles, so that's why I'm fighting them manually. Most small, shitty, unimportant battles, I'm happy to fight with the auto-resolver, but when it comes to this kind of stuff, you really need to be on the ball. We're going to do a very similar thing. We're going to set up a defensive line with a couple of these divine beacons forming the central thrust and heft. Right, first things first, we will summon an animal. Looks like we got ourselves a Caustic Worm, which is a charging shock unit with heavy charge, that ignores charge resistance, and a Caustic Eruption. Right, let's go ahead and drop the Divine Beacon on the right side. This will provide a little bit of healing for my army. Not much, but a little bit. And then we can use a combination of Soother abilities and all this stuff. In particular, I'm interested in healing my frontliners. As long as the front line holds, we should have no problem whatsoever. This guy needs to like Mending Touch himself. The Spellbreaker I will attuned cast, giving me plus 10 combat casting points. The rest of my units I will tell them to fortify or get into position for next turn. There we go. The enemy approaches, that's totally fine, that is their job. And the heal triggers. Let's move this support unit back. We'll move you to here. You're going to go here. I want to put a Divine Beacon right there, but I want my units to be in position before I do it. So I'll move you to here. You'll go there. And then I come over, I conjure a Divine Beacon, and now both flanks of my army are covered by a Divine Beacon that is also providing morale. Now, let's send the Caustic Worm out to cause problems. We will now overchannel for another spell. This time I'll do a Fulmination. The idea being that if I hurt them, they're likely to try to use their support abilities to bring their health back up. I'm then going to drop a Mass Rejuvenation on the left side of my army. Oh yeah. Mass Rejuvenation on the left side, giving regen and a little bit of healing. Everyone else will go into fortification mode. Yeah, here they go, buffing each other and doing all those crazy things, giving themselves strength and fortune. Now, the good news is I actually have the ability to get rid of those bonuses. There are some downsides to holding the front line, especially when you're up against an army that has critical hits. But we have disposable units that allows us to hold this front line a little bit easier. All right, these beacons trigger, providing healing for my whole army. I will now come and take my leader. I will cast the Weaver ability, allowing me to refresh their hero powers. I will overchannel again so I can cast 2 spells this turn. And then I'm going to cast Mass Rejuvenation on the right side of my army, giving 10 health plus 2 stacks of regeneration, which is 12 health per turn for 3 turns. And now the fun begins because I get to do my counterattacks. So we're going to go ahead and drop a fat Star Purge on this group of 3 units here. This should remove all of their buffs, all of their fortune, all of their strengthened, just straight up gone. A single attack from an Arcanist here has a 30% chance to crit. I do want to cast some spells before I do that. Let's have a look at some Wrath of the Faithful. Who could it be good to use against? We could probably kill one of these Scalds outright with a Wrath of the Faithful. We could kill one of these tier 2 Fury Archers with a Wrath of the Faithful. That's great. Go ahead and attack him with your fortune. Awesome. We can kill this doggo. Easily clapped cheeks. A lot of range over here on the right side, which honestly, that is just a prime opportunity to tackle with my melee. Especially if I get my spell shield into melee and get him to cast the blinding flash. That'll stun all 3 of these range units and do a little bit of damage and let him heal. And it just works. Like it's just so damn powerful when you use these abilities correctly. It'd be really fun to see how battles shake out between players because I imagine it'll be crazy. So let's advance on the enemy. See if we can't get this kill. Perfect. We're going to drop a Divine Beacon on this right side to provide morale and protection. The Divine Beacon should counteract the burning damage, although I believe damage triggers after healing. Caustic Explosion sundered his defense. That was not the ability I meant to use. Can we get this kill? We can. Perfect. Oh, okay, so he has the Steadfast ability, which will allow him to stay alive. That's why I think like a Barbarian build, where you take these Berserkers with the Berserker Rage, and some kind of way to heal them back up. It seems really, really powerful. I really think like maybe like, yeah, there's some kind of build there that could keep these guys going really well. But I think at this point I have effectively won the battle. So I think we'll see how it shakes out when everyone else goes into defense mode. Let's take stock of the enemy morale. My beacons are triggering, giving me a little bit of healing and morale. My morale is super maxed out. Their morale is actually looking pretty okay, probably off the back of these Scalds. They have the Song of Revelry, which rallies, gives 5 morale, hastens, and regenerates units. Pretty good support unit, all things considered. Right, Shield Man, go ahead and get rid of that Berserker, thank you. You've got a 70% chance to damage this guy, a 70% chance to crit. I'll take that 70% chance to crit. There we go, 17 damage, 17 damage, 17 damage. What do you got? 45 damage, Jesus. Okay, finish him off, please. Perfect. If I can win the battle over here on this right side, I think this will end the battle. All right, let's get this kill. 1 and 2. That should bring morale down now to a more manageable level. People are not yet fleeing the battle. Shoot this guy because he's big and he's an easy target. There we go. We also get the flanking on him because he's facing the wrong direction because he's a dumbass. And then this kill. Start to see morale dip down to very low for some of these units. Attack him in melee. Attack him in melee again. And that should see him wrapped up. Right. At this point, there isn't really anything for it but to just advance wildly into the enemy's ranks while my units follow up. So yeah, we're at the point of we've done it. We have succeeded. I'll rat the faithful, one of these scalds. That'll cause a whole chain reaction of bonuses and buffs. And I think I can auto-resolve from here on speed 3, and we shouldn't have any more issues. Yeah, it looks like they're fleeing. That's what we expect. Flee, my enemies. Boom. Took out almost the entire enemy stack. Very few health losses on our end. And that is the power of careful battle manipulation. When you're a human player, you can take on stacks upon stacks upon stacks of enemy units, which is necessary when you're playing on this difficulty level and you have a single city, because you're playing on the build that only allows you to have a single city. I hope this has shown off why fighting battles manually, particularly in the early game when you don't have the economy to just pump out units constantly, is really, really useful and really, really powerful. One more turn until we breach Scaffold. We have some new Empire development skills. Nothing really particularly interesting. I think Natural Recovery is a great pickup though in the long term. Being able to regenerate an extra 15 hit points in your friendly domain is quite helpful. I do think it's time that we got the teleporters. My Empire is feeling very stretched thin, but I think I can get Natural Recovery first, which will allow me to heal a little bit more efficiently. And my mana has dipped down to a dangerous level, so I'm going to take Rite of Astral Abundance, which will give me 1,000 mana, which will allow me to buy time before I can actually sort of refill my mana by building up my mana infrastructure in Starspire. Now, Tarisha Gravitas has actually been killed, and he is now in our crypt. We get a certain amount of income based on the number of heroes in our crypt. That is based on the fact that we have the Eternal Bedchambers here that gives us +2 mana, +2 knowledge, and +1 soul if we are Shadow Affinity and have certain books of Shadow for every hero that's in our crypt. We can also increase the amount of money we get from that by things like the Wizard Tower Crypt, which grants 2 mana per turn per hero in Crypt. It's not a huge amount of money, but it's a decent amount. Now, Tarisha Gravitas also has a whole bunch of equipment here, right? So we have like the Mace of Smiting, we have the Gilded Shield, we have the Wind Barrier Ring, things like the Astral Heart. This would make a really good melee unit. Now, I can theoretically choose to revive her. Instead, what I'm going to do is sell her remains, use that cash to recruit a second hero, like Gerbra Starseer here, who is a level 7 hero with a Giant's Bane Spear and the Assassinate ability. So he has Panache. Oh, melee attacks have a 60% chance of applying Taunted. We could alternatively get a Protector, a Ranger, ignores effects of terrain, can't be stopped by zone of control. This is a Feline Ancient. We could get a Rodent Agent, who's arrogant, so he's good at killing tier 1 units. We could get a Druid, he's good at leading animals. I don't have a way to consistently recruit animals right now, so it might not be the move. I think I like the idea of Gerbra Starseer, so I'm going to go ahead and recruit her for 550 gold. Now, when you recruit a unit, a hero, when you do not have a city for that hero to govern, it costs you an extra 30 gold. So, you might think of a hero as roughly half of a tier 5 unit. Tier 5 units typically cost in the region of 60 mana or 60 gold to maintain. I believe tier 4 units are something. Maybe like 30. So a hero is effectively a tier 4 unit, but they have a lot of really cool advantages. Namely that they can level up and you can uniquely give them bonuses. Now, what kind of hero do I want? Well, I have a sort of ranged magical magey type hero. I could make some sort of melee person if I wanted to. Think like the Astral Heart and the Wind Barrier Ring. The combination of both of these is kind of encouraging you to get into the faces of your enemy. We could take the Mace of Smiting, which would be really good against fiends and undead. And then we could equip some really good shield. We have the basic Mystic Shield, or we take a Frost Shield, or a Gilded Shield, which has a 30% chance of gilding attackers. We could take the Mirror Shield. I like the idea of the Mirror Shield. That way we reflect damage back onto people. This character is very much so about getting into people's faces, taking damage, and then taking names. I'll grab the Cone of the Bottle because inflicting wet on people is actually quite powerful in a build where you have a lot of lightning damage. The Wand of the Rising Undead isn't that important to me, but I will put it on this hero just for the sake of it. Now, let's also take stock of this hero's skills. Scroll down to the bottom here. They have defensive training, fighting, sentinel, sprint, true sight, vigor, and vigor. I'm going to go ahead and reset those skills and redesign this hero. For the signature skill, that's going to go ahead and set up the kind of hero that this will be. I want a hero that gets right into people's faces. Oh my god, they gave me the Summon Undead ability. It's so powerful to be able to summon units. Free units? Imagine, right, you can take a stack of 6 units and turn it into a stack of 9. That is what the Summon Undead ability does. However, maybe it would be better to take something like Assassinate, which could allow you to just straight up delete an enemy unit. So I'm going to take Assassinate here. Now, the objective of this hero is to get up and in the face of enemies and fight them. To that end, we are going to take the fighting ability and lightning weapons. So I'll confirm that. I'll take lightning weapons as well. Then we will take fighting 2. Sentinel is quite good. Fighting just gives you plus 10% damage, by the way. Those are the abilities that we're taking. Just 10% damage, and plus 4 lightning damage on attacks. This is just, we're making a thematically strong hero. We could either take Sprint. I think Sprint is better for heroes that are going to be charging. Instead, I'm going to take Sentinel. This will give her first strike, as well as a bonus damage on retaliation and opportunity attacks. Then we're going to take Martial Expertise for another 10% damage. So we've got a 30% damage bonus. We've got 2 more skill points. 1 skill point will go into defense, like so. And then the final skill point will go into killing momentum, getting us an action point every time this unit kills someone, which, theoretically, could happen with an Assassinate. Kind of a fun set of abilities. I hope there isn't like counter synergy with Assassinate and killing momentum. We shall see. And I will start to march her down to join my army stacks over here. So a lot just happened, really. A lot just happened in a very small span of turns. Like, not a whole lot of actual game time passed, but a lot of like decisions and things, like a lot of decisions were made and a lot of things changed. She has managed to refill this garrison again with yet more stacks of units. Like, it's just perpetually filled with stacks upon stacks of units. There's also another stack that seems to have come from underground to reinforce. Let me see here. She is still in the Astral Void. So if we can take the city of Scaffold right now, which is her throne city, you can see that based on the throne here, we will actually defeat her faction and force all of her cities to turn into free cities. That seems like a really good opportunity to me. So even though this is like super inadvisable in most scenarios, I'm going to make this attack happen right now. Let's go ahead and auto-combat this. If I lose only 2 units, I will accept this outcome. 3 tier 1 spearmen die. I've already fought so many battles this video. I'm just going to go ahead and accept it. Blow up her throne city. So I can spend money to gain Imperium. I can be evil and gain a bunch of draft. I can spend mana to send her to heaven, which is kind of like the pathway that I'm leaning. Because I want to be a good guy. I want to be a paragon of good and virtues. But the death of those units has now freed up quite a bit of upkeep. So normally, if we head over here into this city, this Arcane Guard is 9 gold and 4 mana. You compare that to something like the Spell Shield, which is now 12 and 2. So the Arcane Guard is actually more expensive in terms of mana. So I think I'm going to replace some of those guys with a couple of Spell Shields. I think it's about time that we replaced all our Arcane Guards with Spell Shields. And I want 2 Arcane Guards per stack. And I have 3 stacks. Oh, you managed to get to the Legendary promotion, which means you have Retaliation. So this is actually a really cool and rare thing to get. But essentially, when you get Retaliation, this medal right here, it doesn't say it, does it? No, but basically he has 2 Retaliation attacks instead of 1. It's a really, really powerful ability. Any of my other units? Oh! Now, I don't know what Evoker does. I don't know what the Legend Medal Evoker does. Let me look it up. Yeah, I mean, this is like pretty good, but it doesn't have like, you can't look up like what Evoker is. It's kind of missing from this encyclopedia. Anyway, I don't know what Evoker is, but I would assume that it's good because both of these Battle Mage units have the Evoker ability. And with that, Asgera Spine Splitter has been defeated. AI very hard, no handicap, defeated. The city of Scaffold is now going to be integrated into my empire as a vassal. Before I do that, there's no things here that I want to click. Nope. So, yep, we are going to vassalize that. Now, if we go underground, you can see Heartfang is hostile with us. The outposts of her faction have been deleted. And we're probably going to go ahead and try to blow up Waypoint next. Alrighty. So we are slowly becoming the Archmagus of the Warping Wilds. I would like the Fishmonger to allow this city to grow faster. I'm also low on mana. I'm a little bit low on cash right now. Let's pick up the vendor for plus 10 gold income. It's actually plus 15 gold income because of the way this faction works. Hang on. Yeah, we'll vassalize the city. I'll probably settle another city somewhere over here, like I said earlier. This is like a really good open area. It's got a ton of resources, a ton of things that I can claim. I'm curious if I can cast Amplify Minds on my vassals. Oh, I can. Does that mean I get a trickle of their knowledge income? I was making 156 knowledge before I cast that. Oh yeah, we just got all of our hero corpses That's big. That's big. So we managed to get the pact of cooperation with Coalhaven for the croaking entrepreneurs, who are underground frog people. They are evil, so they don't love us. My alignment is now very good, based on our alignment. The nice thing about having a high good alignment, it actually gives you a better chance for positive random events here. I wasn't able to show it there really quickly, but we found Werelak of Isildur, and this dude is pure evil. Executed a prisoner. Oh man, he's gonna be a bad boy. We will go ahead and give him a goodbye. I'm not interested in negotiating with you. Divine Absolution. A merchant from the halfling builders of Starspire has appeared, so we can renounce our worldly possessions. We get a bunch of money. We can tell him to study the Holy Scriptures and gain some knowledge, or to embark on a pilgrimage and gain an order boon. I'll take the knowledge. I feel like my science actually went down there. Werelak of Isildur has built the Seed of Astral, something to be concerned about for us for sure. We have finished researching the Summon Lightbringer spell, which we are quite happy about. And finally, we have access to Tier 3 tomes. Now, you can research at Tier 3 tomes regardless of your affinity. This is actually a really important point that I'm going to take a moment here to cover. When you unlock a tome, you gain some affinity. To unlock tomes of a Tier 3 nature, you don't really need any prerequisites. To unlock tomes of a Tier 4 or higher, you actually require affinity. So, to unlock a Tier 4 Astral tome, I would require the Tome of the Astral. I would require 6 Astral affinity. And to unlock the ultimate Archmage tome, it would require 8 affinity, and you're only ever allowed 1 Tier 5 tome. So do keep that in mind. Only ever allowed to have 1 Tier 5 tome. So let's have a look at our choices here for the Astral tomes. We have the choice of the Tome of Summoning, which will give us access to the Summoning Well. This will give us plus 10 mana, as well as plus 2 mana and plus 2 knowledge per adjacent conduit, and combat summon spells in the domain of this city cost no mana. This makes it incredibly easy to defend our cities, even when we're spending a ton of mana. It'll also give us access to the Seed of Astral, which will make Astral research cost minus 20% in terms of knowledge, and we can also get a Wisp Familiar, which will allow us to start the battle with an Astral Wisp. Remember, any ability that allows you to fit more units into an army stack is really powerful. It's why one of the most powerful units in the game is actually the Houndmaster, purely just because it summons a Tier 1 unit into the battle, and it's a Tier 2 unit. So you're basically getting a Tier 2 and a Tier 1 unit all in the one unit, and it's still just like a decent range unit. Now, it doesn't do amazing amounts of damage, but like it gives it incredibly good early game. Now, the Tome of Summoning here, we can do Arcane Restoration, which gives all Magic Origin units plus 20 healing. We have Arcane Supercharge, target-friendly Magic Origin unit, gains Strengthened, Bolstered, and Static Charge. Okay. Arcane Bond, enemy Magic Origin unit has a 90% chance of becoming mind controlled for 2 turns. If unsuccessful, deal 30 lightning damage instead. We could also summon Astral Serpents, which are Tier 3 fighters. We killed a bunch of those. They have 80 health. Melee Strike, Shattering Refuge, as well as Astral Membrane, so they're good anti-melee, or an Astral Keeper, which is a pretty powerful a Tier 2 support unit of Magic Origin. It's an ethereal. It has Lightning Blast, Mending Touch, as well as Astral Blessing. Astral Blessing is pretty good, and when it dies, it heals things around it. I can't say I don't hate the Tome of Summoning. Let's take a look at the Tome of Teleportation. This is actually one I really, really like. It's a really fun one. So the Astral Trade Relay is a really fun building. It gives you 10 gold income and 3 gold income for every Astral Relay built in your empire. So it goes like 3, and then it becomes 12, and then it becomes 27 gold or something. Like it starts off 13 gold, and then it's 16 gold each, and then it's 19 gold each, and then it's 22 gold each. So if you can get up to 4 or 5 cities, you can start to pump out a serious amount of money with this tome. We also have the Phasing Enchantment, which will allow all of my battle mages and support units to have the phase ability, which allows them to teleport without taking an opportunity attack. We could also summon phase beasts, which are Tier 4 animal units that are shock units. They have heavy charge strike and phase, so they can get to the back line. Phase is such a powerful ability, okay? Especially if a unit has charge strike, you can phase behind an enemy unit, charge strike the critical target. Mass Recall targets friendly army to the nearest owned city, which will be my capital, and then you can use the Chrono Gate, which is a special province improvement that costs no upkeep compared to a standard teleporter, and actually provides bonus resources and gives armies evasion when they pass through, making them slightly harder to hit. So this is all about controlling the map. Emergency Teleportation makes closest allied unit teleport to within 4 hexes of the target hex and heals this allied unit 4 temporary hit points, or 30 temporary hit points. So this can let you get an ally out of a bad situation. So I would say generally, the Tome of Teleportation is a pretty powerful tome. It has a lot of potential, but let's kind of scroll through some of our options here. We could go for some order tomes. We have gone for a pretty order heavy build as well. We could go for the Tome of Sanctuary here. This would give us order affinity, naturally, which would allow us to, if we had 6 affinity, we could research tier 4 order tomes. We would also get access to the Sanctuary, which functions as a spell jammer that prevents enemies from casting spells inside your city's domain. The domain is just basically the borders of a city. It also counts as a conduit and actually provides mana, whereas normally a spell jammer uses mana, so it's an upgraded spell jammer. We'd also get the Seed of Order, which would make order research cost 20% less knowledge, and we'd also have Sanctify, which is a expert hero skill that would give a target +3 bolstered defense and +3 bolstered resistance. We could grab anointed people, which would be a racial transformation, giving a spirit and status resistance, consecrated domain, extra bonus resistance and morale at the start of battle, healing spires, which provide sanctuary in a range of 16. So these things just shit out healing when you're defending a city. Really, really powerful. We could get Keeper's Mark, which would give every single unit in my army faithful, lowering their upkeep. This would be every single non-tier 1 melee unit, basically. And we could go for Salvation, which is basically a reset on a unit. Heals all of its hit points as temporary hit points, gains 3 bolstered resistance, and dispels its negative effects. So Sanctuary, very much so about healing, protecting, keeping people alive. Now another option is we could go for the Tome of Subjugation, get access to the extremely powerful tier 4 Tyrant Knight with a demoralizing heavy charge. If you've ever wanted to see a halfling on heavy cavalry, this is the moment. Naturally, this gives order affinity as well as the terrifying aura, which lowers enemies' morale at the end of their turn. The intimidating aura is another version of this that we can give to our entire army. Polearms and shield units. The Baron's Palace is quite a unique city structure in that it can only be built in cities of another race. It gives you 25 gold and 10 stability. So this race is all about conquering cities. This book is all about conquering cities, right? You get things like Subjugating Raid, which takes a population from the city you're sieging and gives +1 population to your own city, and then provides a morale debuff to the enemy. Final Ultimatum is also quite good. Auto target enemy routing unit, a 90% chance of being permanently mind controlled, and if successful, it gains 60 morale. If resisted, the unit dies instead. This is a great, we're finishing a battle, enemy units are fleeing, let me take that unit or just straight up kill it. Both of these are quite powerful and quite handy. We could also transition into an undead moment here and take the Tome with a Great Transformation. Go for Whiteborn and Fetid Legion. Whiteborn turns my entire race into the undead. This is a major racial change, so you can only have one major racial change. This would make us undead, which would make us resistant to frost and blight, but vulnerable to spirit and fire. We would never get any morale changed. We wouldn't be able to be poisoned, and we would also have lifesteal on our attacks. Now, we already have a way to get lifesteal, so this seems like a little bit unnecessary. We could go for the Tome of the Cold Dark. We could get access to these things. I'm going to go ahead and take a moment here and just look around and think about what I want my tier 3 tome to be. I think I really like the idea of the Tome of Transmutation, mainly just for one thing, and that is the ability to transmute resources. So the target friendly in city will convert their mana income, gaining gold, production and food equal to 75% of their mana income. I'm curious if this actually takes away the mana. That's something I'm going to test in between episodes, so I'll give you my final decision when we're done here. So far, we've managed to acquire 1 Pantheon point, which is achieved when you achieve a whole bunch of different things in the game, right? You defeat empires, you defeat heroes, you improve your house allegiance, you gain levels, you vassalize houses, you unlock tomes, you destroy infestations, clear ancient wonders, and you get a whole bunch of Pantheon points, and this is your meta progression currency, which is used to unlock some of the cool abilities that I'm using in this playthrough. Anyway, I think significant progress has been made. We have killed one of our many rivals, thus putting us at 1 out of 6 enemies killed if we decide to go for a military victory, which might be how we go for things. At the very least, we're going to kill people near us and think about how we're going to transition into a real win condition here. That's going to be it for me for my current addiction, which is Age of Wonders 4. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!